So
exactly.
with blockchain, so now because I'm genuinely trying to this is fantastic for me
Yeah,
because I'm
absolutely,
learning.
absolutely. Yeah,
So
me too, by the way. Yeah.
so I have Bitcoin now, right? I bought it
Okay,
at X and now it's worth that. So in the
okay.
stock market, you have to like you need to someone needs to want to buy your shares so you can sell them so you make whatever that profit is. How does that work on the blockchain? Because I'm just selling the coins that I have. So how does it work? Like how can I, let's say I invested today, it went up
Okay.
$10,000 tomorrow, and now I want to I want to get my that 10 grand difference that I've made out. How does that work?
Yeah. So you just trade it on an exchange. There's cryptocurrency exchanges, and yeah, the same
Okay.
way you sell the stock directly
Okay.
on the market. Like I had $2,000 worth of Bitcoin. It now became 10,000. I go on the exchange and I enter the market and I sell it to Khalid, who wants to buy, $10,000 worth of
Worth.
Bitcoin, even at that price because he thinks it's going to be 30. But for me, I've already made profit. I don't want to risk losing that.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
typical trade.
Okay. Got
But
you. Okay.
but the nice thing about the stock market is that like it stocks are tied to technically like stocks are meant to be tied to company growth. Like the better
Yeah.
Apple does, the better your stock does. It's a bit different with Bitcoin because it's like, all right, if people start to believe in Bitcoin and start to lose faith in currency, because if people buy Bitcoins, it means the system, like Bitcoin is sucking fiat money, which is like, dollar, euro and stuff. It's sucking it out of the system, right? If
Mm.
Bitcoin goes up, it means more fiat money is going into the system. So that's like when you buy and sell stocks, why I like that is because it's tied to company growth. Bitcoin is a bit harder to, you got to be a bit tougher to
Yeah.
be like, okay, you know, our system is going to fail or not going to fail, but it needs to be revolutionized. Bitcoin is the next best technology we have. That's why Bitcoin is going to go up, and then you start to invest. So it's
Yeah.
a bit different than the
Mm.
stock market.
And I think that's a good point that you said that is tied to companies and company growth. But I think Bitcoin is purely perception and the public
Yeah,
perception.
yeah,
But similarly, like with the stock market, if you think, because I can't remember who I was talking to about this the other day. What I don't like about the stock market is I think, and it kind of plays into Bitcoin too, is perception. Because let's say, for example,
true.
I own a company and there's a rumor goes out that I'm the CEO and I'm going to believe in the company. Whether that rumor is true or not, that's going to have an influence on this, like people, whoever has shares in the company, that's going to have an influence on their perception of, oh, maybe it's time to sell because this guy's leaving, even if I don't. So
Yeah,
similarly with Bitcoin, news or like rumors or whatever it might be can also have a big influence on that. So the question becomes,
true.
what's better? You know what I mean? Because it's almost
Well, yeah, exactly. This is like a huge debate. Warren Buffett, I don't say he hates crypto, but he's always been against crypto. Okay, but Warren Buffett is the most successful investor that we know of. All right, there may be investors who've made hundreds of billions that maybe like they're secretive and yeah, they don't talk about it. But the one
yeah,
that we know for a fact is Warren Buffett. And his method was to buy undervalued companies that he understood through, as many facts as he can get, that they're going to perform well. That was his thinking. I like that because, you know, he technically he's buying faith in human performance. You get what I'm saying?
mm,
Like he
yeah,
sees a company, he sees the concept, he sees the people behind it. He's like, yeah, it's undervalued. I'm gonna get this, and that made him the richest investor in the world, right?
yeah,
It's a bit different with Bitcoin. It's a bit more difficult because it's harder to analyze like the entire ecosystem and governments and stuff. It's very difficult,
yeah.
but this is the main difference, I think anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's good. That's a good point. That for using the example of Warren Buffett, that he could really study it and analyze it, and there's like history and data to like prove that. But with Bitcoin, yes, you might have some of that data, but it's not as, what's the word?
Yeah,
Not as solid, not as not like, yeah. But you saw yesterday it was like this, and the next day it was like worth 10 times that much.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It reflects like the volatility reflects in the price
yeah,
because we don't know because we
yeah,
don't know the price changes every day. Like
exactly.
when like back in 2017. we were accepting a lot of our company revenue. Oh man, I hope this doesn't get me in trouble. But we were accepting a lot of our company revenue in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we were one of the first events in the world to do that. In the Middle East,
Okay.
for sure, we were the first, but like in the world, we were one of the first, and we accepted like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin was 4,000, Ethereum was like 300. By the end of the first event, Bitcoin was 18K and Ethereum was 1,300. So we tripled our company revenue just by taking the risk of, because we had to accept that Bitcoin and then we had to go and like find traders. And it's like company revenue. It's not like our, you know what I mean? It's not like personal money, but it was a big risk, but it worked out really well. But then the next event, I remember the first payment we got, you know, whatever, like $30,000, and we received it in Bitcoin. And then the next day I woke up and that payment was like $12,000.
Oh
Like
my
Bitcoin had
God.
just like crashed. So then I made a decision, you know what? Like I'm not doing this with company revenue. If I accept it in Bitcoin, I'm gonna use it as like a tool that I can just accept it in Bitcoin, and then we liquidate it immediately.
Yeah.
But
Could you?
yeah, that never happens with normal currency, you know. Like
Yeah, of
you
course.
wake up the next day and like 60% of it's gone. But
Yeah, but I think that's that's so funny how you've in your like in just two events you experienced the highs of it
literally, yeah,
and the
in
lows
four
of it.
months, literally, yeah, in 4 months,
Yeah.
I experienced like the the beginning, the top, and the end. It's very, very
Maybe
different.
something you could do is I was just thinking out loud, like to have some sort of a balance. You know, it'd be like I'll accept like well, let's say this is my revenue, it's 100%. 80% of
Yeah,
it I'm gonna take as currency. Then the last 20 I'll take as that if you can risk it, if you have the ability
yeah,
to take
yeah,
that risk, if you want.
yeah,
But you
absolutely,
don't, but you never
absolutely.
know.
That's actually the formula that most like. I don't say most, but some investors have talked about this. Like Mark Cuban talks about this. He says, you know, take 10% of whatever you make, even every month or every sale, whatever you want, and then you can invest that in Bitcoin or, you know, put a little bit in stocks and a little bit. So that's what I do now. Like with my personal finance,
Portfolio, yeah.
yeah, I take 10% and I just throw it in Bitcoin and I just like forget about it. Like, yeah, I look at it as like a 10-year thing. Actually, every time I analyze the pattern of Bitcoin, it's like 6 months of volatility, a few months of really being down, and then a few months of booming. And then it just
Yeah,
repeats over and over and over. So if you
yeah,
wait 10 years, you're definitely going to make an insane return. Even if
yeah.
you like catch it, you know, 10 years later, you sell at it down, you're still making huge returns.
More than what, yeah, because I guess as time goes
Yeah.
on, the popularity of all these things is gonna just that crypto is just gonna
Yeah. Like,
increase more and more.
absolutely. Like, unless Bitcoin fails, then you're screwed. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But if it becomes like a thing that's meant to stay, then it's because there's only 21 million, right? So it's going to keep getting more, you know, expensive to buy as it goes on. The value is going to have to increase unless one day the government's like, you know what, we're going to find the blockchain and burn it down, you know, which they can't do. So
Yeah,
like
that's
trying to
actually
turn
good.
off the internet. It doesn't work. You can't
Yeah,
turn
just
off the internet.
no, 100. That'd be a disaster to be honest.
Yeah, but
Especially,
you can't do it. Like
yeah,
you'd have to go through all of the oceans of the world and cut like cables and stuff. And there's more ocean than land, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
so yeah, it's impossible to turn off.
yeah. No, for sure.